Dashboards can be used in different ways to create context around a patient's condition. The dashboard I'm going to show you works well in acute areas where there are a number of patients being monitored in one area. So traditionally, a dashboard on a unit will be a central station showing information from one vendor-specific medical device. But we want to create situational awareness by having all devices connected at the bedside visible on a single dashboard. Our dashboard not only allows users to review historical events with full context, but also view live waveforms coming from medical devices. The dashboard will normally sit in clinical hub rooms, such as the nurse in charge office or the doctor's office. On the dashboard, you have individual patient cards, and any device connected at a patient's bedside will appear under the patient's name. As you can see, bed 3 has lots of devices attached, whereas bed 2 only has one. If an alarm from a medical device was to go off by the bedside, the patient card would light up in the appropriate color according to the alarm priority. If the alarm then corrects itself, a bar will stay at the top of the patient card for 20 seconds to see that there has been an active alarm in that bedside. So I'll review my patient at bed 3. If I select the patient, I go into my patient card. On the left, we have all devices currently attached. We have a Mindray monitor, a Hamilton ventilator, a smart bed and an infusion pump. And you can see live data values being fed directly from the bedside. On the right is where we can view what's been happening with the patient over a period of time. This is ideal for a ward round, as a review of the patient can be completed to gain a complete picture of what has been happening over the past 24 hours prior to going to the patient's bedside to physically assess them. The first tab allows us to view all events and alerts that have been generated from the medical devices over a period of time. At the top, I have the symbols which represent different devices, such as the heart for the ECG monitor, which we can filter accordingly. And the list of the alarms will appear below. It gives me information on what alarm has gone off, and the little wave to the right will allow me to view a snippet of the waveform from the device at the time the alarm was activated. So we can start seeing contextual data around device alerts and alarms. The next tab is where we can get granular data from the medical devices. Across the top, again, we can see filters over certain time periods and lengths. But if we look at the parameters and select the plus, you have full set of data values coming from all the medical devices at the bedside. This is extremely useful when building up a picture of what has been happening with the patient over the last 24-48 hours of their stay. The next tab then shows graphical trends of the same data, but it easily visualizes it into configurable graphs, so straight away we can view if there has been any change in a patient's baseline condition. We then move on to the camera aspect. This is completely optional and can be implemented in different ways depending on specific clinical workflows. One example is that the camera can automatically turn on only when a patient's fall risk has been identified in the room. For example, if the smart bed is recognized that a bed rail is down, therefore highlighting that the patient may be at risk of falls. But it will be dependent on local policies and procedures whether the feature is implemented into the system. And then we move on to waveforms. This is one of the key benefits to our dashboards, as you not only can review historical data on a patient, but you can view real-time waveforms from devices at the bedside. Making the patient's reviewing and decision-making process accessible away from the bedside becomes very beneficial when you want to minimize the number of people going into a patient's room. And then our final tab is clinical decision support. This is where we can create rules to alert staff of patients' conditions or if patients are at risk of certain events.